Yeah.
Great. Got it. Okay. All right. Once again, welcome everyone to our show today. We're very excited to have Ellen Barron here with us. Is it Barron or Barron? I've just been saying Barron.
Barron.
Barron. Yeah, okay. Ellen Barron here with us. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about her in a minute, but I'd like to just go ahead and open up with an opening prayer. Is anyone so moved to do that? Bill?
Ruth always
Oh,
says
Ruth is
yes.
raising her hand. Great. Wonderful.
It's a wonderful way to start anything, don't you think? To realize the truth of our being. So let's take a breath and bring ourselves to this moment, this incredible moment that is so filled with the love and the power and the presence of the one source of all that is. That when we allow ourselves to simply be who we are, we can feel that marvelous movement. We can feel the way that love is unfolding in us and through us and as us. We can feel the way life is expressing in each of our bodies now. In this one wonderful beingness that we call life, that we call being alive. Yes. Here we are in the now, the moment that is the gift, the present of this wonderful unfolding. Such a gift, such a present to be able to come together, to be able to share ideas and understandings, to see people that we don't see very often, to feel the presence and experience the interactions. This kind of a gift is so, so wonderfully magical. We're deeply grateful for it. And we know that in this time, an amazing level of wisdom and understanding is folding and unfolding and becoming in and through and as each of us and all of us. And for this, we too are grateful. And in this gratitude, we release any other ideas and we release any intentions into a greater power, the one presence that is throughout all that is. As we say together, and so
it is.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ruth. Don't know what that is. So
someone's microphone?
Looks like we're all muted.
Yeah.
So not really sure what that is, but okay, we'll just move forward. So again, welcome all of you to today's podcast. I'm very excited, I'm very excited to welcome Reverend Ellen Barron. She's here to talk to us today and have a little bit of a conversation about her newly launched podcast. It's a New Thought podcast, so I'm excited to hear her thoughts about that. The title for today is Spiritual Insights for Challenging Times. And I think, pretty much anytime we go through, there's challenges to be met. If we want to call them that, and how we deal with that. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say about that, Ellen. She is a licensed and ordained Unity minister and has served as senior minister of Unity of Raleigh Spiritual Center since August of 2020. Her ministry is rooted in spiritual awakening, love, and the recognition of our oneness, which is what we're about. So through practical and inclusive teachings grounded in unity principles, she inspires people to awaken to their divinity within and to discover their authentic selves and live with greater peace, purpose, and joy. So that's what we're all here to do. So I'm just going to hand it over to you, Ellen, and you have about 45 minutes or so, however much time you want to do that, to tell us what you'd like to tell us. And then we're going to open it for questions too, as well for you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Reverend Pjae, for this invitation. And I have to say that I'm excited and I'm a little bit nervous. I haven't done this before, and everybody here is, maybe not everybody, but a lot of new faces, a lot of new people. So what I'm here today to do is share with you my journey around creating this podcast. spiritual insights for challenging times. And I'm going to start by just mentioning that a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, I think it was, I had the idea to begin a podcast, and I was thinking about it. I talked about it. I actually brought it up at one of our team meetings at our church, that this is the direction that I was interested in pursuing. And nothing kind of really came of that. I was thinking in terms of, do I have the time? What would I say? Is it mine to actually say and do all of those kind of things? And the technology got a little bit a little bit kind of made me a little bit unsure of, how do I even do this idea? So I let it go. And just recently, well, like actually the beginning of this year, one of my congregants came up to me and she said, what you're saying here on Sundays is a message that really needs to go out in a bigger way. You should do a podcast. And I have somebody who can produce this podcast for you.
I
So
love it.
yes,
Love it.
yes, because now the invitation came in a way that I could step into and explore. So I met with the woman, and that's what she does. She produces podcasts. So she made the journey very easy for me, because she actually told me step by step, here's what we need from you next. And she took away all of the other parts of it. And what I was left doing is what I do, which is talk, which is to think about spiritual ideas and to bring them into a message, into a conversation. So what I also want to mention is that right from the beginning, with this new stepping into the podcast, right from the beginning, I realized that what I wanted to do was something that wasn't just a repeat of a Sunday message, because I do give the Sunday messages at Unity of Raleigh Spiritual Center. And I wanted it to be a little less formal. I wanted it to be conversational, and I wanted to share the podcast with other spiritual leaders, their voices. And that is, so I kind of had the idea from the beginning on how I wanted to step into doing the podcast. Now, this, I don't think I had gotten to that place at all in the original thought process. And one of the things that I realized too is that we're in a time right now where, the world is changing. I don't need to tell everybody all of the details, because we can just pick up our telephone and it will tell us everything that is going on, all of the changes, all of the shifts. And one of the things that I've realized from doing classes in with my community, and even I'm very gifted because I have two other ministers. One is a unity minister and the other is an interfaith minister, that are part of our church. So they do different classes in leadership with me. And one of them actually had come to me and said, the time we're in right now is just so overwhelming. So I think even when we do our spiritual practices, even when we know the truth that we have within us, everything that we need, we can still be impacted by this energy that is being put out there right now, because it's a time of change, it's a time of chaos, it's a time of disruption. And then we also have our regular human challenges that come up in life. While we're dealing with this big outside energy that's kind of bringing things, if you're tapped into that negative energy, it's bringing things on a lower vibration. Then we have the situations like caregiving. We have a caregiver support group in our congregation, because we have several congregants who have different obligations now with aging parents or children that are disabled, those kind of things. We've got people who are struggling financially with some of the things that are going on now, that one congregant was very concerned she would lose her home. all of the regular life challenges, grief, loss, insecurities that create anxiety, fear, and concern. And I believe that it's compounded when we're living in this energy that is coming at us all the time. So, with that said, what I realized is that this was the perfect time to say, how do I step into our community? How do I reach other people that are spiritual seekers? I think the other thing that has changed too is how people look for their to be fed spiritually. We've got people that come to the church, love that engagement, the connection that they get in person. But there are a lot of people that aren't looking for that, but they are looking for answers to their fears, to their anxiety, to all the worry, the concerns. And to me, that is where I wanted to go with this podcast. So my thought, as I had shared before, was to create it conversationally. And I've been inviting a guest for each episode. Each episode runs approximately 30 minutes, and the podcast just launched. I guess we've got two episodes right now up and running. And one is actually on the power of now, with Reverend Annie Nelson, who is one of the spiritual leaders in our congregation. And the other one is Embracing Change with an Open Heart by Reverend Therese Lee. She's going to be coming and doing workshops on that in August. So you can go to the website, you can hear those. We've got more coming, and I'll mention some of those as I talk. But one of the things with the conversations is that we pick one spiritual topic to focus on. And the way I've been doing it is basically asking the guest, is there something that you want to focus on? Is there a spiritual principle, a spiritual idea that you want to bring up in this conversation? And when they tell me what that is, then we speak for a little bit so that I can put myself on the same page that where their attention and focus is going to go. And then we basically do it. And the format is starting with an invitation. Let's say I did a podcast with Reverend Dr. Martha Creek, and that will be coming up at the end of August. It'll be released at the end of August, and it was on radical acceptance. So I might start out with inviting the listeners, have you struggled with the way things are going on in your life? And what if acceptance was actually the way to start moving through the pain, fear, and suffering? That's what we're going to talk about. And then then I invite the guest to explain what their idea of this spiritual principle is, so that we're all sort of starting on the same page. And then we just chat. We really talk about why it's important. And I invite, this is really more, as I've been doing this, kind of where I've been going. Martha Creek was so wonderful. She's a great support for me. And she was my very first guest that I recorded. And she's a pro at doing podcasts. So that was my first learning curve in doing it, because this is my first podcast that I'm launching. But as I've been doing the different interviews, it's becoming clearer and clearer to me that I wanted to be relaxed. I wanted to be asking the guest, and how did this work in your life? And before they come on as a guest, though, I always say, I'd like to go this way. Are you comfortable with that? Would you be comfortable with sharing something personal about your journey? And then it's just really my listening, following along with the conversation. When something, jumps out at me, I bring that up, and we might go off a little bit deeper into that talk. I share my experiences as well. And I really feel, to me, that's the key, because again, I didn't want it to be just another Sunday message. Not that there's anything wrong with the Sunday message. I think they're important. I love doing them, and my congregation fortunately loves receiving them. but I wanted to have another method, another way for people to hear, to listen. And I wanted it to be personal because I think that stories, it isn't just telling somebody about a principle and its value and even how we can do it. Okay, here's a practice that you can do, but actually sharing something personal that has helped you use that principle that has actually transformed the situation. That's where I think that the connection, the curiosity, the connection, because to me, it's build. This is what I'm hoping to do with this podcast: build relationship by bringing in relationships in the conversations and then inviting people to respond. And again, this is kind of evolving a little bit as I've been, recording the podcast, realizing that I really am looking for their feedback. I'm looking for their responses. Where are they struggling? If there was something from the podcast, not that I'm getting these responses yet, but there's only 2 podcasts up, but this is what I'm hoping can evolve and develop. And then knowing where we might want to take some of these conversations. I'm also doing 1 podcast a month where I'm just there by myself so that I can address some of these things. That's the goal I have with that, and let people know, a little bit more about who I am and my particular journey that got me here to this point that I'm at today. And one of the unexpected gifts, sometimes I always seem to find these. Sometimes you do something and you think you're going to be giving a gift. I'll just share this one aside. I did work with foster teens for 5 years that lived in group homes, and once a week we would meet and do workshops and cook a meal and be at the church. And one of the things that I thought was going to be very beneficial was to help them understand that they have power within them. And we did conflict resolution was a major theme throughout the 5 years. But very quickly, what I realized is it wasn't what I had to say. It wasn't even the spiritual ideas. It was just being consistently there saying, I see you, I love you, and I accept you just the way you are. That was what I learned very quickly at the beginning of that 5-year journey with those teens. And the same thing has come with this journey with my guests. One of the things that I'm learning is that I love having these spiritual conversations. I find them exciting. They energize me. When I finish doing the recording, I'm buzzing. So, and I'm excited about getting this message out. So the gift that has come to me that I didn't see coming is the connection to the different spiritual leaders and how that is just uplifting my spiritual journey. So let me see where we are now. Let's see. So I've talked about choosing the different topics. I've mentioned some of the guests. Reverend Martha Creek is going to be coming. I also have an interview that's scheduled to be released with Reverend Maggie Alderman, who actually right now is the director of Silent Unity Spiritual Prayer Ministry. And we're going to release that one probably in September to tie in a little bit closer to World Day of Prayer. Reverend Anna Quintana on gratitude, so that we can. So these are some of the topics, and talking about what is gratitude. We all kind of know and have heard that gratitude is important, and that the more grateful I am, the better my life will be, and talking about it as a spiritual practice, talking about it as actually an energy that causes a shift and change, sort of like change your thoughts, change your life, that kind of a thing. And just again, sharing the personal journey. Supposed to talk for a long time, and I'm not sure if I've got too much more to talk about. I'll just fill in.
It's okay. It's okay. What we're going to do, Ellen, is whenever you're finished kind of setting it up, we'd open it up for some questions,
Okay.
and
All right.
comments from the audience. Yeah.
Sure. And I would love to do that. I'm just thinking that, again, I'm what my focus is, what my goal is to make everyday conversations available to people to help them remember the divine idea behind the challenge, to help them. This is really the main purpose of the podcast, to shift our focus from the challenge, from the concern, from the fear, and connect within to any one of these. Oh, and one of the very important parts of the conversation is I always invite the guest speaker to say, can you leave our listeners with a particular practice that they can do? So it's an invitation at least to take away one idea. So it could be the pause. How do we do the pause? It could be how do you do the practice of gratitude that you want to take into each morning, setting an intention. With Reverend Annie, and I'm mentioning that because that's one of the podcasts that's up right now on the YouTube and on the different platforms, is I'll just share this as a teaser. This is going to be in the podcast, and sometimes we do two parts. And with Reverend Annie, we did do two parts. So I don't remember which part this comes up in, to be honest with you. But one of the things that is beautiful about this is Reverend Annie, it does Sundays, and this is a practice that she began a year or more ago, a couple of years ago. She'll have to clarify that. A long time ago, a while ago, meeting on Sundays with her family, and they started by talking, and then they started talking spiritual practices and ideas, and then right now they're reading a book together, and they're doing The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And so I said to her, I love that you're doing this. Let's bring that information into our conversation. And so that would be the kind of thing that we did. We talked about the idea of being in the present moment and letting go of the past and the future, and how do we anchor ourselves there, because knowing that, our thoughts and our emotions will fuel the energy of whatever it is that's the fear and the anxiety, the worry, all of that. And this is in the podcast. Her son is a practicing Muslim. And so I also invited her to acknowledge with me that how exciting this is, because this isn't about religion. It doesn't matter whether you are a Christian, a Muslim, a Jewish, it just doesn't matter. This is about spiritual insights. This is about connecting to that energy, the divine, the Buddha nature, the Christ nature, whatever we want to call it, true self, that has within it everything that we need to navigate through life. And one of the things that I love is I was doing a series on a Sunday, and it was based on the Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And in this particular part that I'm thinking about, the Dalai Lama talks about mental immunity, which is very similar to what in New Thought we call, the law of mind action. And with mental immunity, you can almost think about our bodies build immunity. We build immunity when we do certain practices, or we allow our bodies to get used to the response. And mental immunity is really the same thing. It is practicing shifting our focus away from the problem, away from the negativity, and staying anchored in the truth of who we are. And then Archbishop Desmond Tutu, in their conversation, jumped right upon that after the Dalai Lama said that. What he jumped in with was, and that is how we evolve with compassion. That is how compassion arises from within us. As we work with our mental immunity, we become more awake and aware to kindness, patience, love, all of those elements, which then are able to flow out from us into the world. And that, to me, I started by talking about we're living in a time of extreme challenge and change. And instead of trying to fix ourselves or fix the world, if we just remember that shining our light, if we just remember that shining our light, that being compassionate, being kind, being able to love unconditionally, that's oneness. To me, that's oneness. That's recognizing. I start every Sunday service, by the way, with setting an intention, especially this began about over a year ago, because of all this sense of separation in our country, with setting the intention that the divine in me sees and acknowledges and blesses the divine in you. That what happens to you impacts me because we are one, because we are interconnected. And to me, that is where I'm hoping all of this goes, is a reminder to everybody how they can navigate challenges. And as they perhaps and hopefully grab onto the spiritual ideas and spiritual tools, they are shifted and changed. And that is, to me, how this whole thing works. So
Beautiful.
I'm complete.
Okay.
And I
Beautiful.
would love to have input, and I'm also open if anyone would like to participate in my podcast.
Ah, very good. Okay, so you got a lot of speakers here, and people who know some things, have been in New Thought quite a while. So you're probably.
I'm
Could you
sure.
put
I'm
your
sure.
contact information before we leave? Your contact information in the chat, so that
Yes,
people
I
can reach
will.
out to you. So thank you so much. So, who is there? Anyone here that would like to share something that they have, some spiritual insight that they have discovered through a challenging time, or that not necessarily discovered, but just even understood how to utilize it through a challenging time? Is there anyone here who'd like to share that? That's okay. Or has any questions for Ellen, or any comments right now? All good. Just go ahead and raise your hand, your digital hand, if you have that. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and comment until while I was waiting for hands to raise that you were talking about that what you learned from. I can't really remember how you phrased it, but it brought up something that happened to me as well. When you go and you arrive to some place with a particular intention, but then what they received was different than what you had planned, but it was really wonderful. And one of the things that my sister and I had done is she's a hair braider, and so we just took. I was working with a lot of young people, and so we took a box of hair and just decided we're going to do some braiding and show the kids how to do some braiding. So we did that. We were just braiding and, talking to the kids and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, what we discovered, what happened was they weren't as impressed with the braiding as they were with how my sister and I got along. It was incredible. They've never got along so well with their sisters, and they'd never seen that relationship happening. And so that was a wonderful additional outcome that wasn't one we planned, but that's how we are. So you show up. My point is that you show up as you, and then there's so much more than what you had anticipated. So I see a couple of hands going up. So I'm going to go with Nancy because you're the first one on my side. So I'm going to go with Nancy Bergman. What do you have for us?
There. I found myself flat on the couch for about 6 months following lung and heart and lung issues following COVID. And it took me a long time. I'm a type A, get out there in the field, get a dirty, la, la, la. And I wanted it to go back to that. And I was fighting what was going on in my body. And once I realized that my body was doing the best it could, the best it was working to help me to get better. And once I had this friend who said, "Sweetheart," it was my heart. She said, "Put your hand on that heart and you tell it that you love it. It's been working for you all these years. You never said thank you." So I started doing that. I started loving this body just the way it was, which you said earlier, just the way it was. And that's what I teach now, is We have to love the body we're in, not the one we wish we were in or the one we used to have. But once we really begin appreciating what this incredible gift does for us moment by moment, talk about little miracles in the moment by moment, it started to get well right away. And now I'm back dancing, doing line dancing and all that, 93 and all that kind of stuff. But it begins with accepting, loving, and embracing your life, your being, just the way you are, all of it. We don't get to leave out the parts that I thought weren't so pretty. I have to love that part too.
That's a beautiful insight.
Can I just respond a little bit to Nancy? What I'd like to share with her is I also had a journey like that. Actually, I had two major losses in my life. It'll be 17 years in October. My son passed away from cancer. And we were at Unity at the time, Unity of Naples, Florida. And we had been going to Unity, and I had been already on a spiritual journey for 20 years. My spiritual journey began in a recovery program 40 years ago, actually. And which I'm very grateful that I was already in that place spiritually when he passed away, because I was able to be present. I was able to listen. We did the unexpected gift there was that we got to spend, because he was ill for 4 years, we got to do an awful lot of talking and supporting each other. He went to therapy, so he came back with lots of things he'd like to share with me about our relationship during, childhood and stuff. And I was able to hear it without becoming defensive. I was able to just love him through the whole thing. And so that was the gift. And then the second gift was that we lived in Manhattan. I come from New York City, and we lived in Manhattan, and I used to take him to all these, they had a wonderful place called Gilda's. They probably still have it. I'm just not there. A wonderful place called Gilda's Place, which was a support for families with cancer. And I used to take him to all these different things. And my husband used to say to me, Ellen, leave him alone. Stop dragging him all over town. Just let him be. But I kept saying, let's take advantage of what is out there. So after he passed away, I said to myself, my son's name was Chris. I said, Chris, I am going to do to myself what I was doing to you. Take advantage of what's out there. So I started taking classes at Unity. This goes back, he passed away in 2008. So it goes back to that time. And that began I always say that was like the second spiritual awakening. The first one was, 40 years ago. This was the second spiritual awakening. And I never stopped taking classes and ended up becoming a certified spiritual educator, a licensed Unity teacher, and eventually a licensed and ordained minister. So that propelled me on that journey. So I could see the gift. And then the second thing that happened was my husband passed away 3 years ago. And that grief was a completely different experience. That one, I started to say, I was older. I had just come up here to Raleigh with him. And I said, basically, what happened? What am I doing up here in Raleigh all by myself? And it was very hard. I really went through a thing of what is my purpose? What was that mad drive to become a minister? And I say all of that because where I came out with this whole thing is that, like you, I was looking for that old second gear, that old third gear. I must have said that. I have a friend that I went to ministerial school with, and I talk with her still every single Saturday morning. We have an ongoing, prayer connection. And I kept saying to her, where's my extra gear? What happened to me? I just don't have the energy and the enthusiasm. And I said, could be aging, that might have something to do with it. And so that I kept looking for that. And then the other part of it was just 8 weeks ago, I ended up having to get a pacemaker. So now and when I got the pacemaker, I thought, oh, it's like plug it into the socket. Now I'm going to have this third gear and I'm going to be the ever ready bunny going, going, going. And nothing changed much immediately. So I was reading and it said sometimes it takes weeks for your body to acclimate to the new rhythm or something like that. So, it's like there's no fast fix, and to listen to your body. And during this second time with my husband, I did do that. I was able to listen to my body. I did question. My energy was so different that it was, and Nancy, that's what I heard from you. My energy was so different that it really threw me off. It was kind of like, what happened to me?
Yeah.
Why am I not what I used to be? And I don't know if today I'm what I used to be. It doesn't, because I'm in a different place now. It's like, okay, I'm where I am today and it's good. And if I get tired and I need to nap, because that's how I deal with grief, I want to just go to bed and put the covers over my head.
Right.
So, and today, if I just feel like I've done an awful lot and I'm feeling tired, I say, okay, go rest. I don't judge myself. I'm doing what I'm here to do, and I'll do it the way that it unfolds. And I've grown. I have to tell you, I've grown
Right.
through all of this.
Okay. We have a couple more questions there. And so, Ellen, I want to hear from Bruce Miller. Bruce?
Hi. I'm
Hi.
just going to ask a couple of tactical questions. Someone put in the chat, what's the name of your podcast? How do we watch it? And so if you could let us know that, it'd be lovely if you could put that in the chat that people could follow up. And then my other question had to do with someone came in and said they could produce it for you. I'm assuming that meant they had all the equipment. And are you doing this in their studio or are they bringing it to you? Those kinds of questions.
Yes. Let me give you the practical parts of it. Okay. So it's all Zoom, which or not Zoom. She uses SteamYard. That's the platform that she uses. But when I say she produces it, she has put together intros and outros, things that I wouldn't even know how to do. She said, give me a little piece of music. I have a wonderful music director. So I said to him, Greg, give me a little piece of music. So he put something together for me, and that's what we use with it. So what she's doing for producing it is that we take the link and the guest, and I love that we're not doing it in person, because that gives me the ability to reach out to a much broader audience rather than just, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So not just limiting me to somebody that can meet with me. That's why I'm able to have the list of guests that I'm excited that and that they've all been excited to participate, which is a blessing for me. So what we do is I have an ongoing meeting with her. We meet at 3:00 on Mondays, and I had said to her, can I have an alternate date in case 3:00 on Monday isn't good for a guest? And so she gave me a Tuesday time, and then I got a little overexcited or something. So I was booking people for Monday and Thursday, and yes. So I had to step back. We've got recordings now through October that already done. But so I pay her, and it's a very, very reasonable amount for her to take it. Then she'll edit it and she puts it all together, and then she uploads it onto YouTube, where it's you can see, that's the video part of it. And then on all the other things, Spotify, all the other platforms for listening to podcasts. And she said that we can have it on Apple, I think Apple iTunes, but you have to have a certain amount of podcasts that are already out there to get on that. So those are the things that she handles. But I also have to tell you that I have a wonderful person in our church that is our website designer. And this is a new role for him, and he's about to launch our new website. And he helps me with technology. So if I get stuck someplace, what he does is he's now a manager on the YouTube channel as well. So I'll just share with you these different things. We're definitely keeping a consistency. Monday mornings, we launch a new podcast, and it goes on all of the different platforms onto the YouTube channel, Spiritual Insights, and I'll put all this in the chat. Spiritual Insights for Challenging Times is the name of the podcast. I'll give you the YouTube channel, and then I'll see what else I can find on here. So, I have my notes here about the marketing thing.
Ellen, I'm going to ask you, because there's a lot of there, and there's a few more people that want to ask some questions. Okay. So we can either put your information in the chat, and then they can get back to you, because there's a lot there, and I do want to get to
and you know what? Questions. Yes, I'll do that, because I have a whole list of how we do it, the technical part of how we do it, right?
Exactly. So it's a lot there. So yeah, if you do that, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Who did ask that? Was that you, Ruth? Thanks, Ruth, for the question. Sherry, I see you have your hand up.
Hi. Yeah, I think I raised my hand when the question was asked of what types of things that we do when we're trying to stay calm.
Yes,
and I had something happen last week where I was supposed to go in for a biopsy, and due to health insurance or lack of, it was canceled. So not only was I twirling around dealing with the biopsy and how am I going to afford this? What am I going to do? But what I ended up feeling the relief of when it was canceled, and then doing all the spiritual practices, the affirmations, the going with it. But I went on a hike. I took time for myself, went away, and going on that hike and doing the affirmations and just sitting in nature and looking out at the abundance that this planet has and the perfection. It was an area that was burned down a couple of years ago, and just seeing how vibrant it was. And it was just beautiful. So that's, and I have to run, though. I have a book club that starts in 10 minutes. So
well, thank you for sticking around. And that was a great insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah.
Love you all. Bye.
Thank you. Iman, what is your statement or question?
Yeah, hi everyone. Reverend Eamon here, New Thought Men's Community. Ellen, congratulations, first of all. Great job on your podcast. And I was just wondering, show of hands, who other people do podcasts in this group? Just raise a hand. So I think looks like you've got quite a few people here that do podcasts, and we've been doing it in my community because we are an online community for the last 3 years. And I think how can we all come together in a larger way to promote this spiritual philosophy and our podcast, because this is the way of the future, in my opinion. And how can we help support you and support each other in this process of growing our audiences, being able to get people this spiritual and soulful new thought philosophy into their lives? So just wanted to open it up.
That's great questions.
Yes, and I just want to say one thing, that when I have a guest on, if they've got like Reverend Ana Quintana has her Spanish ministry, I invite them to put their information in there, put their links in, any contact information, asking them to promote it. So I don't want, this isn't just to promote what I'm doing, but it is, that's the other advantage of working with somebody else too, is to say, hey, together, I'll give you a platform, and you give me, and you tell me what you need, and we'll support each other, so to speak. And hopefully that's what's happening here. Like I said before, if anybody wanted to participate, just give me your information. You can put that in the chat.
Bill, because once we leave, how how do we get the things out of the chat, or do we have to get them while we're here?
Grab them out of the chat, and I will also copy what's in the chat and put it in the follow-up email.
Okay, perfect.
And if there's something particular that we want to include, we can put it in the YouTube recording in the description.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Just want to let everybody know how we do that, because once this is gone, it's like, oh, I didn't get that out of there. So thank you very much. Ellen, I'm going to turn it back to you. What would you like to? We've got about another 10 minutes or so before this ends. What would you like to share? What would you like us to know before we leave?
Okay, I was just trying to find my links, like the stuff to put in there, but
that's okay.
so
you can send it to Bill. You can send it to Bill. He'll put it in the follow-up thing if you
all
can't.
right, that would
Yeah.
actually make it easier for me.
Yeah.
And okay, so anyway, what would I like to share?
Or any more questions that anyone else has as well. Yeah.
I know that the podcast idea is obviously not a new one, that a lot of people are using podcasts. It's new to me. So, it's exciting for me to be able to move into this area. And to be honest, it really felt a little bit like it was stretching out of my comfort zone, because it was a new venue that I'm not used to and everything else. And the other thing that I feel is that I'm open to see where and how this thing evolves. So that basically I'm not a rigid type of person. So if it feels like, a little less conversation, a little more detail of practices, if that seems to be where people are moving, that's where we'll go. I'm listening to my inner direction and my gut instinct as far as what sounds and feels right to me. But I'm open to, whatever seems to unfold as this journey goes on. One of the things that I'll just mention is that we're going to create a website, Spiritual Insights for Challenging Times. So it will have its own website, and in the website, I'm going to be able to put other things since I'll just mention a few of the things that I had as far as promoting this ideas. I'll send this to whoever gets this information, and you can send it out in the newsletter, but we're going to have a podcast website that will also have some testimonies, because I have congregants who have done a lot of this work with me. Like we did a whole series on radical acceptance, and they were sharing with me how it has transformed their lives. So maybe just a little brief testimony on a specific topic that we're talking about in the podcast. And it could be from somebody that's watching the podcast. It could be from somebody that's congregant that has done some of this work with us, so that we just get also to see what else people are able to just more support that these ideas work, that this isn't just, it isn't just about what do you believe. It's really about how do you do this that does the transformation. We'll do little shorts, little clips for on the website from some of the podcasts, perhaps to just get interest and excitement going. One of the things that we could do is a newsletter highlighting what some of the things are coming up, or directing that way. I haven't gotten to that place yet, but I mean, these are just different marketing ideas that can go around, can be used in addition to, what we're doing here. And just like I said, asking for comments and, different building community. That's, to me, I love building community, and that's what I was doing when I was working with the foster teens. I was very involved with the foster organization. There was that was one aspect of my involvement with them. I taught conscious parenting classes with the foster families were able to get their CEUs with that type of a class, and it was based on Dr. Shefali
Oh, yeah.
Zavare's book, which is wonderful material. So I have right now, I've done a couple of interfaith conversations in our church that I invite different people from interfaith walks of life to come and be guest speakers. The model that we used before, and I'm not 100% sure if we're going to do it again, but this way, but we're going to do our next one in October. But I had 3 speakers from Buddhist, Hindu, and I did it 2 different times, and they came and they just set the tone by talking a little bit about peace. It was called Interfaith Conversations for Peace and Reconciliation. And then after they did a couple of conversations, what we had was all the people that had come, we had tables, and we had 6 to 7 people at a table, and each person got a chance to talk about what they felt peace was. So went around and each person had an opportunity to speak where everyone just listened, and then opened up to some conversations. Then you changed tables. It was modeled a little bit on World Cafe, if anyone's familiar with that model, because again, I really believe that conversations are necessary on so many different levels. And this was, people loved it in our church, in our congregation. People loved it, and so we're doing that as well. So I've got a lot of things going on, and to me, it really it always comes back to talking with each other and listening. We have one whole thing on how do you do active listening, which is a whole other experience. And so that's one of our podcasts, active listening. And it is presented by a woman who, this is what she's done. She and her sister both will be guests on the podcast, Betty Sprill. And Betty has gone around the world. She and her sister taught DEI in countries and in corporations for many, many years. And her specialty is language. It is, how do we listen? So that's what she comes on as on the podcast, talking about how do we actually do active listening and why it's so important to do that. So I don't know if there's anything else I need to add to any of this stuff. I didn't get to put anything into the chat here as far as the links go. I'll put my email address in, because if that might be the easiest.
That'll be good. And then yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great.
And I'll tell you what,
you and I can email back and forth, and I can give you
because actually, if you emailed me and said, I'd like to have the information, then I can just shoot you an email, because it can have the YouTube link and the different podcast links and stuff like that. I would have to look them up in my phone and actually kind of figure out how to type them into the chat, because can't do the copy and paste right now from the phone to the screen. So I know I can pull this apart and stuff like that, but I'm not so fast.
Yeah,
that's why
at all. It's your email.
That's why I have people who help me with technology.
Exactly. What I wanted to comment on, and something that just reminded us what we already know, that there's questions about, well, how did you do it? How did the podcast work? How did you, just so many technical questions. The thing is this, and we know this, we just claim it. Whatever it is we want to do, just claim it. All that other stuff will come. The people will come, the information will come, it'll flow out. But it just starts with you just deciding you're going to do it. And then once you do, it's all there.
That's what I feel. That's exactly what I feel like happened, because like I said, the thought was there, and I spoke it into the universe, and I actually contemplated it and processed it, and the time wasn't right. Because that was during the time when I was, grieving from the loss of my husband, and I probably didn't have that extra gear. And now 3 years, I'm feeling like I feel like I'm back in connection with who I am as a person on my own. And I guess I feel like right now I do have that extra gear. However it looks, it doesn't have to look identical to the past,
Exactly.
but it's the energy, it's the enthusiasm, and just excitement to be, doing the things that my heart desires.
That part right there. And I love it. I love that we so I do a podcast too, and I didn't know anything about it. And when we decided to do it for our community, my board president, he didn't know anything about it, but he was a really good researcher. He's just a researcher. So he just found all the information. And what's really great about it is that he is absolutely brand new to New Thought. So he has so many questions. And that's what we do our podcast on, is all the questions that he has, and then I'm answering it online. So it just is, it doesn't matter. You just decide, and you decide whatever the energy you have about whatever it is you want to do, whether it's a podcast or whatever. It's whatever is calling you forth, the answers will be there if you just move forth. So I see, Bill, you have a thought or a comment?
Yeah, I do. Because I did a podcast as well. It's about practical prayer. I figured I had maybe one season, 12 episodes worth. And 19 seasons later, we finally ran out of stuff to talk about. But mostly what I want to do is, so I'm a podcaster emeritus. But I want to give a shout out for New Thought Media Network, because all of that complicated technical stuff, getting StreamYard, finding when it's going to be scheduled, getting things into YouTube's, that's what they do. And they're looking for content. So go to ntmedia.org, and Robert, who is also on the board at Anton and every other organization with an NT in its name, we'll be happy to talk about your perfect place. And it's a network that does just exactly this sort of thing, making it easy. So that's the end of my commercial.
That's a great, thank you for that. Thank you. Absolutely.
Bill, can you put that in the chat?
ntmedia.org.
N is in Nancy, T is in Thought, New Thought, NT Media.
Got an NT. Yep, that's it. And that's our website.
Okay. All right. Well, we are coming to the end of it. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ellen, for coming on the show and for sharing your how you've moved forward. I think that obviously there's a lot of questions and people thinking about podcasts. So, we have food. Thank you very much. Bill, do you have anything that you want to share or remind people of?
In fact, I do. Coming up, as you may have heard, there will be a little shindig that we're having at Unity Village in October. It's the annual retreat. If you want to go and you register before the end of the day tomorrow, you get $50 off for the early bird rate. You can still register after that. It will be worth every penny. That includes the open to the public invited Raise the Roof session, which is on Tuesday evening, features a community choir and Floyd Lula as the music directors, and Reverend Howard Caesar, doing the keynote address. And that caps off the entire week. All of the stuff is also on live stream. So anybody who wants to go in and register for either the full retreat or Raise the Roof can participate, whether you're in the Goppert Center at Unity Village or not. Our monthly newsletter comes out on Saturday, which is the 1st of August. There's going to be chock full of information about the retreat and all of the other stuff that's going on at Anton. So keep an eye out for that and dig through it, read it carefully so that you can find the Easter eggs that are buried in there.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. I don't know why we need to hang out anymore. Thank you so much for the food. This looks great. In fact, it makes me want to go to my local ice cream parlor and get some. So thank you.
I knew everybody was pretty warm around the country.
Yes.
But this would cool them off.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And again,
Thank
you.
you. Thank you all again for having me as the guest. It was my pleasure to be here, and nice to kind of, in a way, meet you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all. And we'll see you again next month. I don't even forgotten who our guest is next month. It's okay.
Therese Patron is coming next month.
Right. Oh my God. She's gonna be great.
You can already register for that one on the website.
Yes, please do that. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see
Pjae.
you. We'll see you next year. My pleasure.
Hey, Felix, good to see you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Good to see you too.